Sure.
What is that thing? So
I have never seen. Hey, I've never seen.
You've never met her?
I've seen her for YouTube. I've never saw
That's a good one. Hey man, it's not your mother tongue. It's not your mother tongue.
It actually is.
It's not your father tongue.
I do speak English, both of the Nigerian American and British persuasion. And son is not a word in any of them.
Studio.
Smooth 98.1. Here we are, 18 minutes gone past 7 o'clock. It's the drive time discussion right here on the Smooth Drive with Ayo and myself, Sope Martins. Joining us, we have got two members of SBM Intelligence in the studio with us, Ikemesit Effiong and Stanley Ikechukwu, to discuss the 2023 elections. Are they Nigeria's most crucial yet? Before the break, Stanley made a statement and we got your calls in on that. Stanley said 2023 elections, Nigeria, it's make or break for Nigeria. Why? Because we have never had it this bad, in his opinion. Cash scarcity, fuel scarcity, prices nice on the high side.
Chronology of rice prices.
Yes. Yeah. By the way, and Cruz had something to say about prices on the high side. He said that things are not on the high side. High side, open a WhatsApp group and added all of us to it over time. That's all. Okay, so
amen.
Before the break, we kind of got these reactions from Abbas, who said that we just need to make sure that we're always pulling for Nigeria. Whoever wins is somebody that we all should be pulling together and hoping that they'll make Nigeria better than it is right now. Because yes, things are tough. Whilst Dak Balawal said that he's very excited about the 2023 general elections because he thinks it is going to be the making of Nigeria. So let's talk about excitement and voter turnout as well. You've had your men and women in the field, Stanley, and what do you think? What do you predict? I suppose would be the choice of words for tomorrow. Voter turnout tomorrow.
Well, we'll see a lot of people come out to vote. People are very excited about most especially the third force. So we'll see a lot of turnout, but turnout also doesn't automatically convert into voting because a lot of people might turn out for maybe might get accredited or may not get accredited. So turnout will be the number of accredited voters that we have. That's what we call turnout. It's not the number of people who flood the various polling units. Yeah, so yes, there's a lot of excitement outside. People are happy with the current situation of the third force, and I'm sure people will vote their conscience, like we've been hearing, vote your conscience.
Well, vote wisely, and some people have decided wisely is a man's name. But one thing I want to talk about, so I want to talk about accredited voters here. Let's talk about INEC participation as well, and the what a lot of people have said is a number of people have said that they were not able to get their PVCs in time. We've heard from INEC, no PVC, no votes. They even had to come out and say, yeah, BVAS is, you are not going to be able to vote just because you are on the system. You need to have your card. It's not going to be thumbprint or moving on. You need to have your card to vote. So let's talk a little bit about that. Oh, Ikemesit, you too. I would like to get your opinion on that.
No,
sorry, I just realized
I'm perfectly fine observing.
Very much on Stanley, but definitely
I'm very much.
By the way, we are streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. I realized during the break that we're definitely getting words of wisdom from Ikemesit and from Stanley in the off-air moment. So when the show is over, you can always go back up onto youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos to go and replay this.
I don't think that's why you did it. You did this because you wanted to see my horrible hat.
It's not that
I
bad.
did not notice the hat until just now.
Oh well, thank you.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
I didn't even notice it.
Turnout, right? Since my hat has turned out, let's talk about turnout. I think one good thing, right, with this cycle is that the overall proportion of uncollected PVCs is down on the overall proportion of PVCs that were uncollected is down from 2019, right? So in 2019, 13.37% of PVCs nationally went uncollected. That was about 11 million PVCs. From the numbers that INEC released yesterday, only 6.7% of PVCs were uncollected, right? So,
Oh,
so
wow.
that indicates that,
That's quite a drop.
the last minute efforts by INEC, public education, by multiple stakeholders, civil society, the media, and all
Did
of
a
that
lot.
really did a lot, right? Yeah, to drive PVC collections, right? In 93% PVC collection rate is decent. One of the things that really stood out, I think, for us is that in parts of the country where turnout has traditionally been low, I'm looking at you, the southeast and the south, right? PVC collections were pretty high. Only one state in the combined southeast and south had a PVC collection rate lower than 90%, which is astonishing. That's what one
Oh,
out of
wow.
12 states, right? Now,
What state was that?
I think it was Bayelsa. Let me just
Okay.
give me a sec. I literally have the numbers right in front of me. Oh, it actually wasn't Bayelsa. Sorry for that shit.
Oh, where is
Bayelsa. It was Edo.
Oh.
State.
State.
Yes, Edo
Interesting.
State. 80. Yeah, and even with that, it was 85%. Right?
85%.
Yeah. It was 85%. Not that far from Lagos. Lagos actually was one of the few states that actually had PVC collection under 90%. Right? Lagos was at 88%.
Lagos.
Um,
Come on.
I remember you talked about Lagos the
Consistently
other day.
rating in,
Yes.
in the bottom,
bottom
five.
five.
Yeah, in terms of actual votes. Actually, I have the vote.
Come on, Lagos.
Actually, I have the vote.
What are we doing?
So let's see what was turnout for Lagos in 2019. Yep, 17.6%.
17.
So Lagos.
We can do better. We can do better.
I'm, look,
2023.
I'm looking at the camera now. Lagos, behave. Anyway,
Small shame presented. Let's do our best for Lagos.
Yeah,
okay?
but
And for Nigeria.
But having said that, but Stanley is absolutely right. The very competitive election cycle, the fact that every part of the country feels like they have someone who's on the ballot, the absolute outbreak, right, of voter education and public education in this cycle, and just the fact that for many Nigerians they really feel this is an inflection point. Might not be make, might not be break, depending on your perspective, but it certainly feels like an important moment. There is no ex-military leader on the ballot. For the first time in 20 years, you don't have, okay, not in 20 years, 15, but for the first time in 8 years, you don't have an incumbent, right, who's on the ballot. All of these things have come together, and now we are having an election now where prior to now, the vast majority of the vast majority of the voters register comprised of people who were born before Nigeria became a democracy. Now you're slowly seeing the emergence of that demographic that was born after we became a democracy. I mean, it's like what 24 years in now. The proportion of Nigerians 18 to 24 who registered in this cycle, something like 40%, right? As it were, by the time you get to 2027 and 2031, right, that proportion will be a majority. So
that'll be fantastic because then it will then represent the demographics that
precisely,
we have in
right? That demographic. All of us here in the studio booth were creatures of the military era, right? So by the time we get to 2031, we will be in the mind. It's not a shade, Shopware. It's not a shade. It's just a demographic fact. Right?
I was going to say something, but Shopware has made the face for me.
No, so it's no. It's not a shame. It's not a stain or a blight. I isolate that point to make this particular argument, which is that you are now seeing the makings of a voter base that has an expectation of democracy and an expectation of what democracy should provide. And I think that's the point that Stanley was alluding to when he was talking about it being make or break. It's like for a lot of us, we can vote. We remember in our formative stages when voting was not on the cards at all. But for a lot of these guys, voting is a given. They grew up in that environment. And so for them, the fact that you have a franchise and you can exercise it, it's just not good enough. It has to deliver. There have to be outcomes attached to it. And I think that's what's driving a lot of the engagement and the animation right around this cycle, because that particular segment of the voters register is now making itself heard loudly and clearly. And we think that for those reasons, right, at SBM, we think that turnout will be pretty decent.
Nice.
Right?
Decent.
Yeah. Yeah, this so our projections for like a 45-48% voter turnout base
Okay.
in 2019. um I think the overall number for 2019, I just want to make sure I'm getting the numbers correctly, right? The overall number was about 43%, right? But in 2015, in 2019, it was 35.7%, right? Which was pretty poor.
So now we go back.
Yeah, so getting to a high 40s, we don't want to be super optimistic and say north of 50%. If we actually see north of 50% turnout, so half of all registered voters come out and vote, we will not be very surprised. But we're trying to be modest here.
Conservative
Yeah,
estimates.
We're,
Understood.
we're trying to be conservative. Yeah, a 45-48% voter turnout for a Nigerian election, pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
good. For a Nigerian election, that there's been a whole lot of noise made about it, a whole lot of advocacy and so on and so forth, and everybody's saying, this election, so I must come up, I must vote, and so on and so forth. Because we're used to people, like you said, it's one thing to have voter turnout. It's another thing for people to actually vote, eventually. So
Okay, so you can call us up, by the way, because it is a drive time discussion. We'd love to get your take on this as well. 01448991. Let us hear from you and send your WhatsApp messages in to 0809 440 Now, let's talk a little bit about what we can kind of expect in terms of, well, Mr. President has been very vocal and very consistent about making sure that his administration provides a free and fair election for 2023. Some would even posit that the recent cash scarcity has been a kind of byproduct of the drive to ensure that we don't have vote buying. But then we've seen news such as the EFCC coming out earlier this evening to say that they've just found what was it, they had
harvested.
No, not harvested, intercepted.
Okay, intercepted. Okay.
Somebody else said harvested in media.
That was very colorful. I love that.
Intercepted, what was it, 32.4 million naira in Lagos that had been
not just in naira, new notes.
New notes, yes,
specifically.
the new notes, and we could not get. We've
Yes.
now been looking at just examining the beauty. But yes, so I think let's talk a little bit about that. So there's been this drive to make sure that we don't see vote buying. Do you think that is something that is going to be another issue? Because I know that in previous elections, vote buying has been the norm. Do you think it's still going to be the norm here with the cash scarcity and the crunch that we've kind of that we've been living through?
Stanley, you want to take that?
Well, the truth is, we'll still see vote buying, whether we like it or not. No matter how difficult it is to get cash, most of these key politicians actually have the new notes, and that's not a lie, because they have all the banks at their beck and call, so they can always get this cash. Would they buy votes? Yes, they still will buy votes. Vote buying won't happen on the day of the election, of course. All these things happen a day or two before the election.
AKA Friday before Saturday. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Maybe like today, I'm sure they will have shared the money to buy votes, and everybody will just come out tomorrow and they think they are from, or they are just happily to associate themselves to a certain type of political party, but you don't know the kind of transaction that happened today, yesterday, day before yesterday. But it's even funny. There's a link. I don't want to mention the political party. They sent out a
Please
link.
don't.
Yeah, of course. They sent out a link and they said, register, share this link with 5 groups and 5 people, and you get 10,000 naira. So I mean, we did a test. It's not as if I wanted the money though.
Yeah, for research purposes.
So,
Only.
So we actually did the test, and I found it to be another marketing style for them, because no matter how many groups you share these links to, the loading does not finish. You share to 10, they tell you, okay, share to 5 groups and 5 people. You share to 5 people and it tells you you've just done 10%. Share to another 5 people and
it
share
keeps
again.
going and going.
It tells you you've done just 20%. You share again. At a point we got tired and said, no, I don't think we want to continue like this.
Wow.
Okay, we need to take a break. We see your phone calls coming in. So what we're gonna do, because we know you, our callers and our drive time discussion people, time yourselves well. When we get back from the break, we'll go straight to the phone lines on 0144899981.
All right. So I don't know if I'll have the opportunity to say
Sorry.
this, but let's just reward those who have decided to join us on
Pardon?
YouTube. I said I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to say this on air. So let's
Go
reward
ahead.
those who have decided to join the live stream on YouTube with this. Vote buying will be very tactical in this cycle.
Okay.
Right. First and foremost. So one of the things I sort of alluded to this. I don't know if I said this in full on Monday when we discussed. But one of the things that we as posters have unwittingly done for the politicians, and they've also done their own internal polling to be fair to them, at least DFC and PP have, right, that we know of, is that we have now clearly used data to delineate where they are underperforming.
Right.
So
that's where
since they
will
don't have
target us.
access to the same stockpiles of cash that they had in previous cycles, we've basically given them research to deploy their cash where they are going to be. So there'll be a lot of tactical vote buying. In fact, it will be so tactical that they will time demographics. You know, how many female voters, how many under 18s, how many under. I've heard party agents have told me this. So it's not us hypothetically saying, you know, Stanley and I, we have folks who are telling us. Yeah, we have folks. We're going back. Okay.
Quickly, I must hear the end of this, please.
No, we have Stanley has contacts that have told him wait and see what's going to happen tomorrow.
All right, let's get
All right.
back in.
Studio. All right, Smooth 98.1 FM. It's the drive time discussion on the Smooth Drive. And the phone lines are absolutely buzzing. Let's go straight to this one. Hello, good evening. Hi. Hi.
Hello,
Ayo.
Ayo. Intelligence.
Yeah, Ikemesit and Stanley.
Hi. Hey yo.
Hello.
Thank you. Amen.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Hmm.
Turn the speaker on.
Nigeria. But I still want people to be educated. And guess what? The rural dwellers are the highest number of voters in this country. With the urban dwellers, just get your international passport. That's what our own stake is. We don't care. But we want a good country. Yes, Guys, I wish you all the best. I'm going to enjoy myself voting tomorrow. Sope and Ayo, all the best.
Thank you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Ayo.
All right, let's take another call. Hello, good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. What's your name and your location?
All right, welcome.
It can go ahead.
Very interesting, and it's nice you guys are bringing up this show on,
Election Eve. Yes.
I must state that if there's something that we are lacking in this country, like the previous caller stated,
He was.
education. It's so sad that quite a lot of people will be going out to vote tomorrow. Like myself, I'm going to vote like I did in 2015 and 2019. Those are the times I voted, and I'll be voting again tomorrow by God's grace. So it's so sad that a whole lot of people will be stepping out to vote tomorrow are not even voting based on issues, something that saddens me so much. And it all boils down to this whole education of the thing that we talk about. The more educated we are, the better we understand that if I have to vote for someone, I'm not voting for that person because I'm going to get contracts from that person. And in getting contracts, my cousin falls sick and my cousin is taken to a general hospital. And because of lack of oxygen, my cousin passes away. Who will I blame for that? Isn't it the system? The same system that gave me contracts. The same system that I voted for. And it all boils down to education. If we all understand that these votes we are casting tomorrow is not just for my own personal good, for the overall good of everyone, if we all understand that, I think the better for us as a nation and the more progress we will achieve.
All right, then again. Thank you.
That's my take. You guys are doing a great job.
All right, thank you, Ken. Okay, keep listening and keep calling as well. We'd love to get your take on all that is happening in your mind as you view the upcoming elections. Let's go over to WhatsApp.
Yep, this is a message from Chris, and he says EFCC intercepting 32 million, well, 32.4 million to be specific, in Lagos makes a mockery of the Naira scarcity. Now, starting to think the entire Naira shenanigan was a ploy to impoverish voters weeks before the election. Now, politicians in this climb are super cunning and capable of inventing all sorts of schemes to gain power.
All right, well, can we talk a little bit about insecurity, because we only have an hour and it's already coming to an end. It's a little scary.
This thing happened on Monday as well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So we've got to take a break, but immediately after the break, let's touch on insecurity. So Ayo shared a video with me. He was telling me about this. What can they be called?
Well, military truck, SWAT, tank looking things, and
see, they were like boats on the road. So yeah, we'll talk about security and insecurity on the other side of this after the break.
98.1. Love music, love life. It's time to enjoy fast and reliable internet connection for
so that they can hear. It kind of says, I was not seeing something about security.
Have you experienced any security issues in your location during past elections?
Oh wow.
Half of voters said
Okay.
Yeah, broken down by age. I mean,
Yeah,
this sort
people
of makes sense, just sort
yeah.
of getting on the voting
Yeah.
bandwagon and all of that. But look at these proportions for veteran voters as well.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, look at the region.
Yeah. So we've seen gunmen on top of the tanks.
those
The video was from which state?
Lagos.
Lagos,
I saw
yeah.
them yesterday. I saw them yesterday on my way home. Yesterday night on my way home.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Okay, we're back. Let's make the most of the time we have left. So would you what was it security and economy, right?
No
That's what we
problem.
wanted.
All right, studio. Smooth 98.1 FM, and we are getting to the business end of the Drive Time discussion this evening. Ikemesit and Stanley from SBM Intelligence are still here in the studio, and we're looking forward to the elections tomorrow. So Ikemesit, we're talking about, we mentioned we're going to talk about security before we went on that break.
Oh yeah, sure. The thing is, sadly, elections are still a very violent proposition, right? In Nigeria, 52% of the respondents to our last election study said they had experienced security issues trying to vote.
52%.
Yeah, 52% trying to vote in past cycles, and the numbers are all over the place. So in Kogi, for example, more than 70% of respondents said that experienced security issue in the past election. In Lagos, almost half of all respondents, right? So there's that expectation that election day comes with its fair share of blood and gore, and it's a concern. I mean, this is our sixth election: 99, 03, 07, 11, 15, 19.
24.
Yeah, right? So this is seventh exercise. You would think that this is a situation we would have fixed. But like I was making a point earlier in the day when I was doing another media opportunity, it's impossible for you to have safe and violent-free elections in a country that is not safe and violent-free. It's just not, those attitudes simply not only get translated into the voting exercise, in many cases, the political tension that's inherent in trying to canvass for your candidate that's just baked into electoral exercises means it just amplifies and elevates the possibility, right, for those things. So it accounts for a lot of the, quasi-military build-up we're seeing around.
Okay. Because I was about to say, because we're seeing security apparatus moving around the country, and we've heard from the different forces that this is what is going to happen, and you best not create any violence. So do you think, at least, even though yes, we're not living in what is by any means one can define as a safe country, but at least do you think that we can minimize, or correct steps have been taken to make sure that any outbursts of violence are kept to a minimum?
Okay, so my fear is this. And before I state my fear, I want to also say that we must commend INEC for what they've done. Now, here's my fear. Because INEC has made it almost impossible to rig the election, the only option left for these politicians now is to cause violence, is to disrupt the election, because that's the only way then you can actually ruin the chances of your opposition. You can't, like they used to do before, bribe the presiding officers. You can't also do that to the rec. You can't ask them to write your results.
You can't stop ballot boxes.
You can't stop ballot boxes. There's no incident form. You're being you get accredited, and everything goes to the IREF. So all those areas and chances where normally they won't want to deploy thugs to do the work when they can do it with their money and bribing people, those opportunities are no longer there. A lot of them sat down thinking, planning how to do this thing is almost impossible. Now, what they would focus on more is to destabilize the election in the stronghold of the opposition. So my fear now is the police capable, or will the police be bought over?
Well, that's not the situation I want to see happening. So
I don't think anybody would
I'm
like
gonna
to
need
see
you to
that.
kind of expand a little bit on that.
So again, in the past elections, people, they always work hand in hand with the presiding officers and the security. Security can always turn the other way around, and things can happen. So that's what I'm saying. Would they still be able to bribe the police officers to just turn blind eyes to whatever they're going to be doing on that day?
True. There's another aspect to to election security management, which is that if you look at the data, you find out that off-cycle state elections, especially the state governorship elections, tend on the whole to be safer elections than national contests, and it's the case for a simple reason, right? So in the off-cycle elections, because it's a limited geographic space within which the contests are happening, the police, all of the other security agencies, the military, they're able to concentrate an overwhelming amount of of men and material to build an overwhelming security presence that ensures that in most polling units, in most wards, in most local governments, right, the exercise is able to to get along reasonably well, bar a few incidents here and there. With the national contest, right, every state is conducting a presidential election in this contest. On March 11, 28 or 29 states are choosing, right, their governors.
That's
right?
a lot of ground.
That's a lot of ground to cover. The military is barely 100,000 strong. We have barely 330,000 police officers right across the country. If you add, all of the paramilitary agencies, basically, we have a security architecture that is, if we're being very expansive, it's not up to 600,000 people. 93 million
That's a
Nigerians.
massive-
In theory,
That's a massive deficit.
So
It is.
here's the thing
Yeah.
now. So even in the best situation with those numbers that we're talking about, wherein no one is turning a blind eye, we might still see violence because we just don't have the manpower to secure all the wards. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Let's say we'll see like that. Now look at the this election. Now we'll have about 176,000 plus polling units. Then INEC has said the number of staff they'll be deploying in this process now is about 700,000. If you divide it by the number of polling units, you'll be getting say four persons per polling unit. Now, if we have less than 700,000 policemen, how many police will secure one polling unit? That's less than three policemen at most. Can they cover up for that crowd? Because we'll see a lot of people come out this election.
Wow. Okay. Well, we can't dwell on this because I see the time and it is literally like sand between my fingers, draining away at the speed of light. So I did want to touch on kind of Nigeria's future, because 2023 is the effects of 2023 are gonna. Or rather, the outcome of the 2023 elections are going to have an effect on the rest of 2023, 2024, 2025, and the rest of the future. So let's talk about Nigeria's economy, which we have seen in a topsy-turvy roller coaster that only seems to be going down ride. Let's talk about how crucial these elections are to Nigeria's economy.
Stanley, you led with that, so you might as well.
Stanley took a breath. I think Stanley's about to unleash the information.
Every election, at the end of the tenure of every president, we always see so much excitement. People are happy when there's a new government. But 1, 2, 3 years into it, everybody's we've lost hope again. And we've seen Nigeria get better and better and better inputs. In 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, we saw rice selling for about 3,000 naira. Nigeria was good. In 2007, when we had a change of government, 2008, we saw rice sell for 4,000, 4,500. Nigeria was good. In 2011, we saw rice sell for 5,000, 6,500. Nigeria was good. 2015, 2016, 2017, we saw rice sell for 28,000, 30,000. Last year, December, rice was selling for almost 40,000. Is Nigeria still good? Is that what we'll see from 2023 upwards? I don't want to see rice sell for 80,000 in Nigeria.
Okay, so
look, I'm sorry, but for a huge part of the last, was it 2022? Yeah, it was a huge part of 2022. We're making comparisons between Nigeria and Venezuela, and in Venezuela, where a bag of flour was costing thousands of, was it dollars at that point? No, hundreds of dollars, I think. I was just like, okay, so I see where you're going with this, Stanley, because that hyperinflation is not something that we are built to cope with right now as individuals or even as a society. So yes, the way the prices of bread, the prices of rice, the price of rice, oil, and so much more has skyrocketed is a thing of great concern. But even with the right leader, and when I say the right leader, somebody who's like, okay, I'm very much focused on bringing inflation down and doing this, making sure we have all the shocks that we can absorb all the knocks that we're getting. Are we going to start seeing those prices come down? Gradually or just, drastically?
So with sort of the right policies, right? A lot of our economic issues, like Dapo, one of your callers rightly said, right, is self-inflicted. They are policy-induced shocks, as it were. So if we get our and we've talked about this on Fresh a bunch of times. If we fix our approach to policy and regulation, not as one that is punitive and seeks to punish and seeks to exact a price, but as one that seeks to enable and empower economic actors to make sensible investment and economic decisions, then we'll begin to see the back of this. Plus some of our concerns is just because of a deficit of things like infrastructure, a deficit of talent, a deficit of skill, right, and all of that. And we need to begin to look intelligently as those sectors of the economy that we need to start, putting back on a solid footing. Internally at SBM, we're debating the new GDP numbers that came out on Wednesday, right? And we grew, but we grew at a slower pace than 2021. for full year 2022. But what was interesting to us is that those sectors that employ the most number of Nigerians, agriculture, for example, is shrinking. Crop production accounts for 90% of agricultural production in this country. We had massive floods that wiped out,
Quite a bit.
millions of hundreds of millions of dollars,
Yes.
right, of value, right, in that sector. How do we ensure that our agriculture is climate change proof? We need to start thinking, right, in that direction. And what we really need to, as Nigerians, what we expect from our next leader is that sort of intelligent, bird's eye view of the economy, and not just thinking about things in terms of silos. Okay, we want to squeeze out cash from our politics, but we need to do that to the detriment of the economy. It's that kind of, silofied, right? But it's that kind of boxed in thinking that creates the kind of policies that just heaps more hardship on Nigerians. And we need to begin to see the back of if prices are going to come down, and if we're going to create the right economy. I should say finally, the economy is the number one issue for Nigerian voters. We've tested repeatedly this proposition more than insecurity. I think the number says 46% of Nigerians think that the economy is the number one issue right now.
Starvation kills you just as much as a gunman.
True that.
Unknown gunman.
True that.
Absolutely.
And it kills you in a much longer, drawn out, torturous way than a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I wanted to see more in this election cycle was a more robust debate from all of the front runners, but even generally from the entire candidate pool about what they were going to do about those key aspects of the economy. This cash crunch, the currency crunch, the energy crisis should have motivated someone to say, on day one, within my first 100 days, this is exactly what I'm going to do to address those concerns. Because if the data says this is the number one apprehension that Nigerian voters have, you should be speaking to those issues. But we did what we did with the cycle. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Something that you made mention of Ikemesit earlier on, even though we have come to the end of the show, I just wanted to put it out there, was the fact that this is kind of the first time that we're seeing a non-ex-military leader and non-incumbent on the ballot. And so, maybe something fresh. Well, with the ages we're seeing, who knows? But, at least something a little different.
The youngest candidate in this election pool is 52 years old.
Well, you know what? There's still a future and a hope for Nigeria, because sooner or later we are going to have going to need to have candidates.
No shades to 50-year-olds. You can still be very productive. I'm just putting it out there. I know it decides.
But that's the youngest candidate. So what we're trying to say is that considering the fact that our demographics skew much younger, a majority population, we should start to see some of that reflected in our leadership. But for now, we are in the process. This is the making of Nigeria, as Dr. Lawal said. And thank you for that, Dr. Lawal. I do think that I'm going to take that and hold that. A very
different way to actually look at it.
And so, this is the future of Nigeria that is at stake, people. So please, let's do what we need to. Yes.
Okay, well, Dr. Lawal says, well said, Ikemesit. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong. It's Ikemesit.
Wow, that's
okay.
I guess he forgives you for that.
Yes, Ikemesit.
It depends.
Ikemesit.
When I say the spelling now, they tell me
no,
what else.
Ikemesit, I don't think you will. But I would like to thank our two guests who came in. Thank you so much for sparing an hour of your time for us and just sharing the information that you've gotten. I know it is literally a drop in the ocean, but tomorrow you are going to be very much tomorrow they're going to be hands-on and they're going to be giving us information as well.
Right,
so
that's right,
thank you, bless you, SBM Intelligence. And you guys also have your well, actually, do you want to tell us what you're doing tomorrow before I say things I'm not supposed to?
Okay, so we have an election monitoring center coming up, so we'll be keeping our eyes on things like turnout, obviously manifestations and expressions of insecurity right across the country, and we will be not declaring, but we would also be making projections based on the numbers as they start coming in. So, and we're not just generally talking about the issues as they matter to Nigerian voters on the day. So yeah, we'll do a few calls with you, and as well as other media platforms as well. So it's a busy day for us.
Yeah, all right.
So-
Yes, please feed yourselves. We'll take care
That's
of
why
yourselves.
Stanley appeared. Stanley only appears for the
You're doing the good work, yeah.
Thank you, Stanley, for appearing. It's very, very kind of you. So we have been speaking with Ikemesit Effiong, who's the head of research at SBM Intelligence, and Stanley Ikechukwu, who's the head of operations at SBM Intelligence. He's the one who's in charge of everybody on ground and collating all that first-hand information that we need to make sure that we arm ourselves with the knowledge to have an election and that, takes us forward as a country. And of course, you can find SBM Intelligence at SBM Intelligence up on Twitter,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Where else?
Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, at SBM Intelligence.
Perfect.
Everywhere.
Simple.
I like
Everywhere.
Instagram.
Instagram.
Consistency.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
simple.
Thank you so much.
Simple.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to all the information that you will be sharing across the different media platforms
Yeah.
tomorrow, and of course with us as well. Remember, people, tomorrow from 8 a.m. Smooth FM is going to be giving you all the information you can handle. We're going to be monitoring the elections as well. We are going to be taking your feedback as well. So please send your WhatsApp messages 20809440981 and check in with us if you'd like any of the information updated for across the elections. Then just check in. We'll have it for you.
That's right. All right, we really have to go.
Oh wow! We've
come to the
crossed
end
the
of the
timeline.
Smooth Drive on Smooth and 8.1 FM. We'll be back on Monday to take the post-election reactions. My name is Ayokumi Kekiriakun.
I'm Sope Martins, and this has been the Smooth Drive. You can catch us once again on Monday from 4 p.m. till 8. Do not miss out on Smooth 98.1 from tomorrow 8 a.m. From us, it is goodbye and good night.
That was good.
Thank you for joining us. Woo! And for anyone catching the replay, hope this information helps.
Oh, more. Was that all right?
Oh man, I do not know how this